All right, let's talk about a weird and really tough situation. From the outside, you are crushing it. You're hitting your goals, you're responsible, you look like the absolute picture of success. But on the inside, it's a totally different story. There's this deep exhaustion, this hollowness that no amount of success seems to be able to fill. And that right there, that's the paradox of high-functioning burnout.
And that's the question, isn't it? It's the one that haunts so many high achievers. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, everything you've worked for. So why does it feel so wrong? You're still performing, still getting things done, but the reason why you're doing it, that's gone. It's been replaced by this weariness that's so deep in your bones, a whole weekend of sleep won't even make a dent.
And we need to be really clear here. This is not quite quitting. That's a choice, right? A conscious decision to pull back and set boundaries. This is something else entirely. It's been called quiet cracking. It's like this invisible internal fracture. On the surface, your performance is fine, but your spark, that internal drive, it's slowly, quietly just breaking apart. It's not a choice, it's a symptom. So to really understand what's happening, we have to get super precise about what burnout actually is. Because honestly, it's one of the most thrown around and misunderstood words in the modern workplace. It's not just having a bad week.
The World Health Organization gives us the perfect place to start. And listen, this is a huge deal. They don't classify burnout as a medical condition. They call it an occupational phenomenon. That means burnout isn't a diagnosis about what's wrong with you. It's a description of what happens when your work environment has fundamentally failed to support you.
And this whole phenomena breaks down into three key parts. First, there's the exhaustion. And I don't mean just feeling tired. I mean feeling utterly, completely drained. Second, there's this mental distance, or cynicism. That project you used to love, now you just don't care. And third, there's this feeling of reduced professional efficacy, this growing sense that nothing you do actually matters anyway. Okay, now this right here is probably one of the most important distinctions we can make. Stress is a state of too much pressure, too many deadlines. Your emotions are all over the place, right? You're overengaged. But burnout is a state of not enough. Not enough energy, not enough motivation, not enough care. Your emotions just get blunted. You feel empty and all used up.
So, here's the million-dollar question. If burnout is caused by stress that isn't managed well, why are the most driven, the most capable people so often the ones who fall right into its trap? Well, it turns out it's a paradox, where their biggest strengths actually become their biggest weaknesses.
You see, high achievers walk right into a very specific kind of trap. Perfectionism means that any tiny mistake feels like a total personal failure. Overcommitment just becomes the default setting. But the most dangerous one? It's what's called identity fusion. That's when your sense of self gets so tangled up with your achievements that your job isn't what you do anymore, it's who you are. And when you can't disconnect, you never, ever truly rest.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. For so many high performers, the idea of resting isn't just seen as lazy, it feels actively dangerous. There's this deep-seated belief that if you take your foot off the gas for even a second, this entire thing you've worked so hard to build is just going to collapse.
So, how does this actually happen? Burnout doesn't just show up one morning. It's a slow, sneaky process. It's a gradual fade from a bright, burning fire down to just dying embers. The original model is pretty complex, but we can really boil it down to 4 key phases. It all starts with that intense drive to prove yourself. That leads you to start neglecting your own needs. You sacrifice sleep, you skip hanging out with friends. Then the withdrawal kicks in. The cynicism takes over and you start to pull away from people. And finally, you hit that stage of profound inner emptiness where you feel like a stranger in your own life. And this is not just some small individual problem. This is a massive global economic crisis. Low engagement, which is a direct result of burnout, is estimated to cost the global economy nearly $9 trillion a year. Let that sink in. This isn't just a morale issue, it's a huge threat to workforce stability. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, and it's heavy stuff. But the good news, the really good news, is that recovery is absolutely possible. And it doesn't mean you have to give up your ambition. It's about learning to work smarter and building a more sustainable way to be successful. We can break the path to recovery down into 3 simple, memorable steps: recognize, reverse, and redefine. First, you have to be honest and recognize the warning signs in yourself. Then, you take active steps to reverse the damage. And finally, the long-term fix. You redefine your relationship with work so this doesn't happen all over again. So let's zoom in on that second step, reversing the damage, because this is where you can start making changes right now. This means setting hard, non-negotiable boundaries. Things like no work emails after 7 p.m., period. It means learning that no is a full sentence. And it means you have to actually schedule time to disconnect, a real digital detox, so your nervous system can get a break from being on high alert all the time. And that brings us to the most important step of all, redefine. This is the real game changer. For our whole lives, high achievers are taught to measure success by promotions, by titles, by the numbers on a spreadsheet. The sustainable way forward is to start measuring success in your own well-being, in your personal growth, and in your actual, genuine happiness. Because let's be real, success that costs you your health and your soul isn't really success at all. So if there's only one thing you remember from this, please let it be this. If you are going through burnout, you need to hear this loud and clear. You are not a failure. Burnout is a signal. It's a flashing red warning light on the dashboard, telling you that the system, your workload, your environment, your entire relationship with work needs a serious adjustment. Which leaves us with one last big and kinda uncomfortable question. We've talked a lot about what you can do as an individual, and that's critical. But if burnout is truly an occupational phenomenon, if it's a problem with the systems we work in, are we really solving the problem by just telling individuals to practice more self-care?
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.